Okay, so we have Kandy Box set up with a controller, power supply, air regulator, controller, and a solenoid valve and a solenoid to make her rise, pop up, and a PIR sensor or motion sensor. So we're going to give that a shot. Still have to secure the head down better, but it does work. Pops up and comes down slow, and then it delays for about 10 seconds, so it doesn't just pop right back up again immediately. And then it'll wait for the next person to walk past it. That has a lot of work to do yet, but I wanted to show this before. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dismantle this, and so that I can put together a parts list to show people, you know, if you want to build this exactly this way, then I'll show you the parts that I used. Now, that's completely customizable. You can build a bigger box if you have a smaller mask. This is a perfect size, I think. This is 2-foot cube. And the reason I picked 2 foot was it's actually slightly smaller than 2 foot, so that I can skin it with 1/4-inch plywood and make the plywood come together. So that way I can only need to buy 1 sheet of plywood, and I'll just skin the front and the sides and the top, and I'll leave the back and the bottom open because they're not going to be seen anyway. Plus it'll be pushed up against a wall or in a corner or something like that, and that way I can get at the mechanisms and anything in there easily. If it's like, say, the hair binds up or something like that on the cylinder or the clothing, I can get in there and fix it easily by leaving the back open and the bottom open. And I can easily take it back apart easily. See, a reason I use PVC is so that I can dismantle it to transport it. I build this stuff while I'm away at work. I work out of state, so I can put this stuff, fit the stuff in my truck, and bring it home with me. Plus, it makes it easier to store, takes up less space. Although this isn't too bad because it's a cube, and you can, when it's skinned, you can put things on top of it, lightweight stuff. But still, I wanted to go through and show you all that. First, I'm going to number all of these, and so that I can remember how to put it together in the right sequence. Let me unplug this so we're not. We'll let her go off one more time, but we'll unplug it so she's not going off while I'm trying to dismantle it. Now basically, this will just come apart in 2 sections, the front and the back, and then you'll just have these 4 pieces of pipe. And then it can all be thrown in a bag or just, you know, piled up in the back of the truck. So we'll go ahead and mark this stuff. All right, now let's take Kandy Clown off and go put her away for now. This is what I gotta deal with, though. I gotta do something about her hair getting caught up on the mechanism. She has a lot of hair. She's beautiful, but that could be an issue. Could make her, I mean, the hair's long enough to where it probably will just, but you get enough hair and crap in there and then it screws up your action of your mechanism. That's happened to me a lot with different props. It got clothing or whatever wrapped around it and then it got bound up and wouldn't work again. And when you're using like a wiper motor, then they could burn the motor up, but this is just pneumatic, so there's no motor there to burn up. Okay, so I'm going to tap this apart. Let's move this sensor so I don't beat the crap out of it. All right, that's your motion sensor. And I'm going to disconnect these 2 lines. So now I just take a little rubber mallet. I should be able to beat it apart. Okay, so we took the Kandy Box, Jack in the Box project apart, had it all together and working, but we took it back apart, and so that I could do this tutorial and give you the measurements and all the specifics on the parts that I used. So we have for the framework of the box, we have 12 total 20.5-inch pieces of 1-inch PVC. Okay, so this frames out your box, and there's 10 right here, and there's 2 more on the mechanism here. Now, I already assembled the mechanism. I didn't want to pull the mechanism back apart, but we'll go over that because I have it functioning just right. When you pull things apart, put it back together, sometimes they just don't work the way you had it. It's running really nicely right now, so we're going to leave it together, and I'll go over the pieces that are in that. So 12 of these 1-inch PVC. Okay, you're going to need 2 pieces at 9 5/8, and this is just if you want to build it my way, the way that I built mine. Now, I made this box so that it will be a 2-foot cube. It's actually going to be just under 24 inches in dimension. It's going to be 23 3/4 because I'm going, or 23 1/2, because I'm going to skin it with 1/4-inch plywood, and so you have to allow for that plywood for it. And that way, I can use 1 sheet of plywood and just skin 3 sides and leave the back and bottom open for service. All right, so this 1-inch PVC here is 9 5/8. This here is, there's 2 pieces at 5 7/8. All right. Now, you're also going to have 8 of these 3-way couplers. Okay, these are 1-inch thread. These are furniture grade, and that doesn't matter. I prefer using the furniture grade because then I just can put screws in it here and there, and then I can pull it back apart for disassembly. And this is why I make these things out of PVC, so I can disassemble them. Yes, it would be sturdier with 1-inch steel welded together, and I have the ability to do that, but I have to transport this back and forth, and for storage reasons it's easier if I make it out of PVC. Plus, cutting PVC is a lot easier than welding pipe. And this piece here is not absolutely necessary. This is just what I'm using to go inside of the prop head. You don't have to use that. You can use whatever you like. This is 1 1/4 inch, a 5-way cross, and that will go up on, this is where the prop head sits on, so it'll go there, and then the head will go down over top of that. So that's what I'm using. That's not absolutely necessary. Now let's go over the mechanism parts. Let's set it up here in the bed of the truck. So we already said that these were 20 1/2, these vertical pieces, because it's going to go like this. So these pieces here are 20 1/2 inches. All right, then you've got 4 T's connected to that, here at the bottom, here at the top, and that will connect everything back together. Now these center pieces here, these arms here, are 18 1/2 inches, and then this piece that mounts your prop, I have at 19 1/2 inches. Now that can vary too, depending on the size of the prop you're putting inside the box. So this is just attaches to the end of this, and so, you know, if you have a smaller head, you could make this smaller or larger or whatever fits in your box. But this fits well with the oversized head that I'm using. Here we have a 1-inch bore cylinder by 6-inch stroke. Yeah, it's 25 millimeter by 150 millimeter. That probably is not going to focus on there, but anyway, that makes it 1 inch by 6 inch equivalent. All right, and you just have it connected here. This connector comes with it, and I just ran a bolt through it and some washers. Make sure you put washers in between all of your joints here, like where these connect. Washers. This is a 3 1/2 inch bolt. That's a 5/16 bolt. You don't have to use 5. You could use 1/4 20s or whatever. And then you put a nylock on the outside. You put a washer here, and a washer here, and that's with every connection here. You do that so that it will move freely. If you don't do that, it could bind up. Same thing here. Now these are 3" because you got 1" and 1". Up here you had 1¼ and 1" that a bolt had to go through. This is just 1" and 1", so you can use a 3" bolt down here at this connection. So the same thing, lock nut, nylock on the back, nylon locking nut there. Some better view here. Here, 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 and here. So 3" on these bolts I used, and then these two here are 3½. And then these little pieces that connect the couplers together down here at the bottom, a little piece of PVC in between, is 2½ and that gives you the spread, enough of a spread for the cylinder to fit in there and move decently. So yeah, 2½ on this piece also. So 2½, 2½, and then this piece will open and close nicely. All right, we're gonna go ahead and assemble it back together, and we'll show you how that goes. Okay, well, I didn't have my mic on in the other video. Hopefully you're able to hear everything. If not, I'm gonna have to do it over. But anyway, these are the parts. We're going to put this back together. Kandy Box is disassembled. We're going to put her back together so we can show you all the parts that are used. Let's come closer. So these pieces, there are 12 of these. There are 10 right here, and there are 2 that are already attached to the mechanism. So 20½ and then we have 8 of these. Total of 8 of these 3-way elbows, or T's, or 3-way T's, right angle T's. So we'll go ahead and put the, I did mark, these aren't going to matter, they're all the same size, but I did mark which side I pulled them off of. So we'll just put them like that, tap it down, put it on the ground and tap it a little harder, okay? And then this one goes in another one, tap it on the ground and tap it down, okay? So those are your left and right front pieces. I'm not going to stay on this. And then front bottom. So that's going to go between these 2 pieces. Not easy to do on this table because the garage floor is slanted and it wants to roll through the front of the garage. So that. Put this one on this side. Tap them down, put it on the floor, tap them in. If you put it on the floor and lay it down, you can get a nice 90-degree. It's pretty close. Now that's pretty square when I do it like that. All right, we got that piece. That's going to go this way. All right, now let's put the other left and right bottom connections on. Here's the right side. That's going to go there. Where's the left side? It's going to go here. Okay, we'll tap those in. All right, so we have that. All right. So, and then we can put the top pieces on. We'll put these, let's come up a little with the camera. These 3 ways here, so we can connect. We're just basically building the cube, so put these on, tap them in, put it on the floor, tap them down. Okay, so that, and I'm going to connect these together This is the top for the front. That's going to go in here. Tap that together. All right, and then we've got here left top will be here, and then the right top will be here. Let's set that on the ground, tap those in. Goes in nice and tight. Okay, so now we have this. Okay. Goes this way. Doesn't really matter, but that's the way we're doing it. That's the way I marked it. Get on here. Okay. And then we can put our 3 ways on all 4 corners here. Let's just go ahead and stick them on there loosely. This is going to be more tricky because we got pieces to fit in at the bottom. I thought I marked these, but it doesn't matter. Some of these already are pre-drilled because I'm going to put screws in it, but it doesn't make a difference. Top, back, okay, whatever. All right, let's put these other ones in. Last 2 of these 3-way, and I'm going to look at the screw holes just because I'm going to do that, and then see, we got a screw hole here, and where's the other one? I saw 2 minutes ago. There it is. So these 2 screw holes, we'll do that. All right, let's tap those in. Let's set it on the ground and give those a tap. These aren't exactly straight, but when we put the pipe together, that'll straighten them out. I'm using my welding table to assemble all this, if you didn't notice. Not really the best. If I had a big flat table, it would be much better. But I'm not at home. I have one at home. Left, back. Okay. Wait a minute. Right, bottom. I got these in wrong. Oh no, I just set it up here wrong. Top right. This goes this way. Yes, okay. Yep, like that. And then 20.5-inch piece going in here. We can spread those apart. And tap that down. And now those will straighten themselves out. And then this one goes back here. And then we pieced the mechanism in. Oh, these have screw holes. It don't matter. We're going to drill the holes. It's coming together, sort of. This piece is not absolutely necessary. This is just what my prop head will rest on. So don't have to use this. This is a 5-way cross. It works well for my prop head. Depending on the size prop head you use, you might want to put something else in there. So here's our mechanism. It's already pre-assembled. We got the 2 20-inch pieces here. Now these arms here are both 18.5 inches here and here. Okay, and then this piece is just what the prop head goes on, and that 5-way I'm putting here, like I said, to mount my head to, which you don't have to absolutely use. So, and this piece, I put this at 19.5 inches. Again, depending on what kind of prop you put in there, you can adjust the height of that. But these need to be 20.5 to fit into that cube that we just built. And then there's a little 2-inch piece in between these 2 T's. There are 2 T's that connect these verticals, and there's a 2.5-inch piece of 1-inch PVC here, and a 2.5 piece up here at the top That gives you enough spread in between here to put the cylinder in, which is a 1-inch bore by 6-inch throw, which means the rod that comes out, it comes out 6 inches. So, and those are all parts to that. Bolts, where you connect the two pieces of 1 inch together, I use a 3-inch bolt, washer in between each connection, and a nylon locking nut, or nylock as I call them. So you got 1, 2, and I also use a 3-inch here where you connect the cylinder to. Same thing, washer, 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 nylock. But this piece up here, since this is 1.25 pipe, this is 1.25 PVC, I mounted a piece that you can use. You don't have to use 1.25 here. That's just what I found that works best with my prop head. This is 3.5 inches because you got a little longer to go through. So now we piece this in. We take our 9 5/8 pieces and our 5 7/8 pieces, and we connect this all in. So this is going to go like this. Let's turn this all around so maybe you can see me better. Yeah, let's turn it this way. Maybe might be able to see that better. I don't know. Anyway, so this will go in here at this back. So we're fitting this in here. So it should go just like this. Yeah. Right? So these pieces can just fit into here and here. And then these pieces can go here. Wait, what does this say? Make sure I put it in right. just because. It doesn't have to be. They're all the same size, but. And then here. And then we'll tap that together before trying to assemble that. So you just set that on the ground and find my mallet wherever it rolled off to. Here we go. Yeah. So we're going to tap these. Just tap these in. And that gets it all nice and tight. And put this back up on the table. And then we'll piece this piece in. Make sure you get it the right way up. Haha. So now all we got to do is fit it together. And that's that for the assembly on this piece. If I can get it to go. There's the top. Now, if the bottom will cooperate, just kind of loosely put them in there for now, so that, and then we can slap it together. Maybe. If we can get it to cooperate, let's turn it this way. There we go. Once I bang these down, it'll all straighten itself out, hopefully. Then just go around and tap everything back down because it will have moved in every direction. Let's just keep turning it in different directions, keep tapping it down. You want to tap these down just before screwing it together too. This should be good. All right, there we have it. Come up with the camera a little bit. Let's come a little closer. See if I can zoom out here. No, that's all the way out. Okay. All right, so there's that. Your mechanism should come up and down. You put an air cylinder on this and it'll pop it up and down. we have a little bit of rub right here, which I don't like too much. So we may be able to spread that with another washer up here. But depending on how much air you have in it, it'll be okay. I don't like having anything rubbing. It is kind of catching right here, so if we spread this apart a little bit more before we screw it, we don't want it too far apart. We'll fix that. Just needs, what it needs is another washer here. So that spreads between here and here some, maybe. Or it needs to spread this way, the bottom. I can't do that. I think I have that screwed together though. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Anyway, that's that. There we have it. That's the Kandy Box. Requires about maybe 30 pounds of air. 25 to 35. I'm going towards 30, 35 would be best. And then here's where I put this little piece here. All right. So my head goes onto that, which here's the head that I'm using. This is Kandy. Say hi, Kandy. She fits down in there just enough to put a lid on it. Now, so when it activates, what did I do here? I'm grabbing the wrong spot. There we go. She'll pop up. Like so. That's the Kandy Box. Not the greatest tutorial, I know. I'm not that great at doing tutorials. But if you follow along, you should be able to do something similar. You may have to adjust your measurements a little bit from mine. I think that looks like it's a little bit tweaked, but it's all right. Okay, that's it for today. And then the next thing would be to first I want to fix that little rubbing problem, which is no big deal. It's just adding a washer or so. I guess after that we'll skin it with plywood. We're going to put a lid on here, and really if we attach a piece of PVC to the back part of this mechanism to the lid with the hinge, when this comes up it should lift the lid at the same time. If that fails, then we'll put another cylinder in here and lift it with a separate cylinder. But that's what we're going to do. Skinning this with 1/4-inch plywood. Which I have some here. This is why I made this 2 feet. You can buy one sheet of 1 4x8 sheet of plywood. Actually, I bought 2 2x4 sheets of plywood from the hardware store. And then that way, it's a lot less money than trying to buy a couple of sheets of plywood and 1/4-inch plywood. This is basically Luan, so that's a lot cheaper than actual plywood, but this is an oak-faced plywood, so it's what you would use for flooring underlayment, like for vinyl and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm just going to do 3 sides. The front, the 2 sides, or 4 sides, and the top. Front 2 sides and the top. We'll leave the bottom open and the back open. That way we can get to the mechanism. The back, I have the mech protrudes through the back anyway, but this will all be pushed up against a wall or in a corner, so you never see the back or the bottom. And anyway, think it's going to be decent. Till the next video.